What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin, and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be...
I do, Ben, and I just, in the spirit of honesty, I just wanted to, let everyone know that even though I am wearing shorts, that I did forget my pants today. Yeah.
I love it. I'm glad that you came clean.
I didn't have to. Even if you're watching the video, you can't even see what my shorts look like.
Right.
But boy, there is nothing worse than going, because I go to the gym in the morning, then I shower here at the office, and I just bring a duffel bag of clothes to change into, and there is no worse feeling than opening that bag and searching through it and realizing, oh no, I forgot my pants.
And
then because the only other thing you have is the gym clothes. It's like, oh, I guess you could forget your underwear. That's also,
yes,
less good too.
Yeah. That has in fact actually happened to me before, because I oftentimes my gym shorts are like the ones that have like liners in them instead of like under breeches.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you get to although not like I would ever go and wear the same ones I was wearing to the gym or something like that. I don't know why these things are correlated. However, still you have that moment where you're like, oh, crud. So there has been at least more than one occasion where I did not come clean and did not let the audience know that I was in fact wearing my gym shorts underneath my jeans.
A live omission, Ben.
A live omission. Yes. I mean, as long as you were doing it, I was, and maybe that's the thing about omissions, is that once somebody else does it, you're like, all right. He made it look so cool. I want in.
Yeah. So thankfully, the gym shorts I wore today, actually, they're gray and they kind of go with what I'm wearing anyway. So I really could have gotten away with it.
Yeah. You came out and you were like, and I feel like maybe it was almost something you were like bracing for impact on. You're like, well, I forgot my pants.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jay, you could have just dressed like that.
I know.
It wouldn't have been odd.
This happens so often, I think, when you have a situation where, like, to you, the problem is so obvious and it's like so embarrassing, but like it's only because you know the full story. And like I could have just walked out and been like, yeah, this is what I wore today, and no one would have said a thing.
Yes.
Like at all. And it would have been fine. Like I don't have to suffer the embarrassment of having forgotten my pants at all.
Right.
And yet I drew attention to it.
This reminds me so much, because this would sometimes happen to me, like if I was throwing a party, where I would have it in my head, like some amazing like feature of the party that I was going to include.
Yeah.
So I remember one of the first parties we ever did was a Super Bowl party when you and I still lived together, and I had come up with the concept of having like a luge, which is like a block of ice.
I was like, we didn't even have a hill.
We sure did not.
We sure didn't.
No.
Like a drinking
luge.
Yeah.
Which in its finest form is usually like a really cool like carved sculpture where somebody could like pour a drink into a funnel at the top, and then it travels through like all this like cool circuitry inside of the ice itself, so that like it gets like really cold, and then you usually like kind of like position yourself such that like the drink then like pours directly into your mouth. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could make it, because I was really into my like ice stage.
Of course.
I was like, I could make a luge.
Yeah.
And this would be so cool. And so I came up with this idea. I was like, okay. I even got like an idea. I'll take a huge Tupperware container. I'll put it in the freezer. I'll take everything out of the freezer, throw it all away. Who needs frozen pizzas? And I'll put this huge Tupperware container into the freezer at an angle.
Yeah.
So that when you take it out, you have a hill.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then I'll use some of like my fancy, like woodworking tools and stuff to like chisel out like a nice like cool carved pathway, and it'll be so fun and awesome. And it really just didn't work at all. It was a huge mess, and I don't think anybody really wanted to participate with it. But I was like, when I realized it wasn't going to work, I was like, and that's it. People are going to show up and be like, what the heck, Ben? What even is this party?
Yeah.
It's like,
where's the luge?
It's like, sure, you've got the game on and homemade wings and all sorts of sides.
Signature cocktails and fun balloons.
Right. Yeah. Accoutrement.
Yeah.
But no ice luge that we weren't even expecting. What the heck?
I know. It's like you feel like the shame and embarrassment of having let everyone down. It's like no one even knew.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then of course I had to come clean too with
you
everybody.
You had to tell everyone.
I was like,
just so you know.
Right. You should see it. You should see it out back. You want to do it like just to make you feel better.
It's like I know you're not you're not disappointed with me. I just want you to know you should be.
You should be.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm disappointed with myself.
I'm disappointed with myself, and I'd like you to I'd like you to be disappointed in me.
Yeah.
Even though I could avoid it entirely.
The funny thing is, I actually have like a really good idea now for how I could do it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm like, you know what? I actually think I can make it work a lot better because
I could do it.
the thing that I was always caught up on was like, how do you have like a really cool like coily bit that goes like through so you can like see like the colored liquid like travel through like spirals or whatever? And like, how on earth are you going to remove the tube in order to just have it be like clear ice on the inside? But what you could potentially do is like pour like a hot liquid through the tube so that it like melts the external like perimeter, and then
you just pull
like,
it out.
pull the tube out, and
Yeah.
then what you're left with is the alleyway.
Yeah.
that formerly was there. So
It didn't even occur to me that you would make the liquid go through the ice. Like, it occurs to me more like I would just think about it having like paths on top of the ice.
which I think is largely what I did on this particular occasion because I wasn't as clever back then.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. I've grown as a person,
I guess.
and
Yeah.
especially
And
this
as an ice sculptor.
as an ice sculptor. Yes, it is my art form, my medium, as you will. It's like, I'm a bit of an artist. It's like, oh, really? What do you work with? Ice.
Dude,
predominantly.
no. There are people out there who that's a true statement
absolutely.
for.
No,
and
for
they're-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, okay, so as we're talking about art forms
Yeah.
here, have I told you about junk journaling?
Yeah. Explain it to me.
I shall explain it to you.
I was like, I'm pretty sure you brought this up, and what I was afraid to say is that my brain could have gone on autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm coming clean again.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. This happens, dude. I have noticed this weird. I will come back to the junk journaling. I promise. I've noticed this weird phenomenon. Bingo. When I am listening to TCG podcasts, as people do.
Oh yeah. Okay. So explain what TCG.
TCG
means.
is trading card game. So like if I was listening to a podcast about like either Marvel Snap or the Pokemon trading card game, like I will be listening, and a common topic on such podcasts is new cards came out or new cards were announced. Here's what they do. Do we think they'll be good? This is, the most bread and butter topic of all
of course,
of all the things, because it's something new to talk about.
Yes.
And whatever. And I have noticed this trend. It's why I'll listen, because I'll be like, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. I want to hear what they have to say about it. What are the potential combos they're thinking of? Because I got a few in my head, but what are they going to say?
Yeah.
And they will get to it, or they'll just be announcing a brand new card, and I'll be sitting there listening, waiting for them to get to it, and they'll be like, and next up we got Scarlet Spider coming out, and its effect is blah, 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 blah. Now this is a really interesting card, and I'm like I'll be waiting for them to say what the effect is the whole time, and as soon as they say the effect, I blank out.
Yeah. Oh, you're just like, I'm out. Yeah.
I'll be and then wait, what did they say? Hold on, and then I have to rewind it and I'll listen to it again. But I noticed this happen when I was listening to Pokemon and to Snap, where they would get to the reading the text of the card, and now just be like, "Bah." I would not listen to the important part.
Do you think like the anticipation was? I mean, they say that the what is it? The journey is the destination.
Yeah.
It's almost like you had identified something you wanted to hear about, and so you were so excited about it, and then the moment came, and you were sort of like, "Ha, we're there! All right, I'm bored."
Yeah. But it's not that I'm bored, because then I immediately still want to hear about it. I just my mind glazes over on the effect of the card, and it's it's so frustrating, because at first it would happen, and I'd be like, oh man, I can't believe I zoned out at just the wrong time. Silly me. But then it's months later, and I'm like, I always zone out at the same spot.
What is going on?
Doesn't matter the game, doesn't matter the host. This is the weird, I don't know what kind of weird brain path I've got going on here.
So we'll never know what Scarlet Spider does.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming out this season, so whenever it shows up.
Okay, yeah. Please report back, because I mean, all of us, it's while you might not be listening, we're all on the edge of our seats over here.
I know. I think it has the new Activate feature. Very exciting.
That's so great.
I know.
I've been just waiting for them to add a new Activate feature.
I know. Well, they've had on reveal and ongoing, but now they have Activate, and they immediately introduced it with Symbiote Spider-Man, and you can mix that with Black Panther, and it's just like an auto win. You know what I mean?
Naturally, yeah. I mean, I bet you just clear the board and get a touchdown.
Honestly, I keep building all these decks, and I put the same 3 cards in. It's these 3 just win the game. It doesn't matter what else is in the deck.
Dude, you know how people who don't like sports love to do the thing where they're like, "Go sports," you know, and it's sort of the funny running joke is sort of like, I'm not really into this, but I know everybody else is enthusiastic. And so I'm attempting to say like a sports thing, but what I've ended up saying like totally reveals my hand that I have no idea what I'm actually saying about. I feel like the like building energy around me that is people's involvement with like tabletop board games, strategy games, deck playing card games. Like I'm like almost at the point where I could unironically make a t-shirt that says "Go board games."
Go board games.
You know, and it would be like I would be in the same amount of like out of the loopedness that the Go Sports people are towards sports. Because I just spent a weekend at the lake with Alice's youngest sister, Madison, and her girlfriend, and they spent like every available moment where we were not actively playing like lake related activities and stuff. They were always pulling out a deck of cards and getting like involved in some type of like new spoons or spit or you know, war.
People like a good game, man.
I know. And I'm like, part of me almost is sitting there thinking like, you guys have played so many games. Like, how do you even like sit back like after it's all over and like remember like, oh, that one match was unbelievable, was it not? Like
sometimes they just stick with you, man.
Do they? Do they? Like like there are games that like live inside of your mind forever and ever.
Ben. Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the best win you've ever had.
The best win? Okay, let's see. Oh boy, it's more the losses. I feel like.
Okay. Tell me about the worst loss you've ever suffered.
This was at Orlando Regionals. The first one I was ever at. I was playing.
So Pokemon TCG.
TCG. I was playing against this guy, Justin, who was like a 4-time regional champion. I didn't know it at the time.
Oh,
I kind of like I saw his name pop up and I was like, your name seems familiar vaguely. And then he sat down and he played very skillfully and very precisely. And but like it's better that I didn't know because I would have been way more intimidated.
Oh sure.
So I'm playing it and I go to like I have a Lugia on the bench. And
a big bird,
big legendary bird. The deck is Lugia based. This is like my star attacker.
Okay.
And its big thing is that you can accelerate energy from the deck onto your other cards from it. It's really good. It's really good. Or it was. Much has happened since then.
Right. All the people who just spaced out are coming back now.
They're coming back now.
Yeah.
But at one point, I realized that at one point earlier in the game, I had attached a double colorless energy to my Lugia,
nice
which
move.
Lowers its attack by 20, but helps power up its attack. And ideally, that doesn't matter because you're only putting one of those on there.
Naturally.
Right.
I mean, who would think of putting 2 of them on there?
If you were going to knock them out, it wouldn't matter. But I put it on there, and the way I had placed it on the card, it slid completely behind it so I could no longer see it.
Oh, no.
I know.
Wow, what are you, a rookie?
Basically.
I'm doing my best right now to engage.
Thank you.
I hope it doesn't come across as sarcasm.
No, I had attached an energy to it, and like you just put it like behind the card, and then you can just see what's attached to it. But it slid all the way behind it, and so later in the game, like several turns later, I go to switch in my Lugia, and I attach a now completely unnecessary second double colorless energy on it.
Didn't I just say a minute ago who would do 2?
I know. Yeah, you wouldn't because I didn't even need it. But I had attached it. I moved it in, and I was like, attack, game, done. I was like, I'm about to have this game done, and he's just like, you are 20 short, and I'm like, what? And then he's like, you've got 2 attached here, and I was like, and it was like so pointless. There was no reason to even have the extra energy on there, and it's like the sort of thing where it's just like, I couldn't see the other one. I put it on there, but I couldn't see it, and I forgot it was there. And I put it in, and I lost the match because I over-attached it. And this was like a very... do
you ever like wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and think about the double colorless energy that you attach needlessly?
It is the number one standout like mistake I made at any tournament that year. It bothers because I could have won. And I could have been like a really good person.
I know.
And it's just like, no... Oh, it's so frustrating. That was a bad one.
That is a bad one. That is a bad one. So, I mean, in my head right now, what I've just imagined, and Little Colonels joined me on this adventure, but it's almost like the world tour of poker, where you've got like it's down to like 2 people, and like the whole surrounding. You got like the big bright green velvet table. So like all the other chaos has gone away. It's all melted away from the room now, and now it's just you and Justin.
Yeah.
Justin, it's just you and Justin.
Yeah.
You guys are well illuminated. We're all like standing over your shoulders, like breath, just like held. Like, oh my gosh, he doesn't realize he's already got an energy on that one. It's about to go down.
Yeah.
And then you see the card play, and then there's a collective but respectful gasp.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no. And then cannons go off, and Justin wins.
Yeah,
and
basically
sails off into the sunset.
Unfortunate.
Where Pikachu appears and high fives him. The real Pikachu.
The real Pikachu.
The real Pikachu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds, but
yeah.
But as a small electric mouse. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I imagine happening.
That's basically it.
That was what I was picturing through your entire saga.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can see it. But then I've been to one of these things and I've seen you play before, and there's like rows and rows and rows of just like hundreds or thousands of people, but like not in that moment.
Not in that moment. Yeah. No. That is more like if you're on stream, like on Twitch, then that kind of is what it's like.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's like commentary and stuff, and you can't hear any of it. They make you wear these like white noise headphones and things.
And then chat's just going crazy.
Yeah, chat's going crazy. Yeah.
Like, ah!
But anyway, that was when I lost. That's the loss I think about in Pokemon all the time.
Do you think people would do the little clown emoji?
Oh, they would be just. Yeah, like, I can't imagine what they would say. It'd be like, how could you forget? Oh no, the tragedy.
The tragedy. That's okay.
If only. Okay. Anyway, but it doesn't make you want to play board games. It doesn't like make you like everyone in your life is like getting in has a big relationship with games and cards and tabletop fun, and you're just sort of like, nah.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, I don't know why it doesn't matter to me. I mean, this could go, you could go back and listen to like episodes like 1 through 15 of Popcorn Culture, and I guarantee we were talking about board games.
I'm sure we were.
And it's like one of those things where I think like going back through time, I've had all these theories. There's a piece of me that like wonders, like growing up, like there was always that like you and I are 21 months apart, which is not that far.
Right.
Like we were always close enough that we could have had like the same friends. We did high school together. Like, we've had lots of great growing up experiences, but it also always sort of meant there was that classic, like, you are just ahead of me enough to where like your motor skills may have just been like a tick more superior, like when we were like little playing games, or like you were introducing me to a game that you had discovered by playing like with your friends, and therefore like you already sort of like had gone through a few reps,
a few rounds with it. Yeah.
Right. So then like by the time I played, I basically was just like, why do I not know anything? So like I've had these like theories before that like maybe it was just like being like having like the floor mopped, or you mopped the floor with me. I don't know how that phrase goes, but like either which way, I'm like, I think that could be it. But I also really think what comes down to it is like my brain, it's like winning the game doesn't matter to me enough that my brain will designate the necessary energy to it. Which even as I hear myself say those words, I'm like, you're a sore loser, and what you're actually trying to do is like cover for your inability to like come up with a strategy. Like I'm like wondering whether or not what's actually speaking from like deep within my chest is like my own like insecurity about like losing. So it's like, no, you have to choose to not care, because otherwise it would hurt.
It would hurt.
too bad.
It's like it's so surprising. It's like it surprises me, because otherwise I feel like you are like a competitive person.
It just depends. Like, I don't know. I mean, it could be the insecurity that like by playing the game, you will reveal your like lack of intelligence. Mm-hmm. And maybe even that's like one of those things where it's not good for me to expose myself to that like steady stream of losses, because then it just like hampers my own like confidence,
right,
and makes me feel like even less smart.
Sure.
Which is possible. But like when I'm inside of gameplay, it's like I just don't feel as invested as I do. Like sometimes, like so I got to like build a small shed a couple weeks ago for like storing my lawnmower, and like when I'm in those moments, I was actually thinking about board games while I was like building and stuff, because I was like, my brain is like clicking right now.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I'm like clearly doing something that like makes sense to me, like all the math. You know, it's like, okay, so a true 2x4 is not actually 2 inches by 4 inches; it's 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches, which means that anytime I need to space a board between two flat facing 2x4s, you subtract 7 inches, which means a 96-inch board is actually 89 inches in cut. You know, and it's like the speed at which like all those numbers like race through my mind. Right. I imagine is like what happens inside of your brain, like when you're like, okay, there are 3 trees on the board, we need 2 more to go. I know Beth doesn't have one because she played that card, and she would have played a tree if she had a tree. That means if Ben doesn't have a tree, then I have it. Like, right. You know, like in my mind, I'm like, I think that you're doing that. I don't think like my ability to process what the other people have based on what's been played is not
right.
Like, it's not like I mean, I can't muster the energy to summon like a theory for it, which is also weird because like what we do is write theories for a living.
It is,
you know, it's like
you think you would be transferable.
You would think like what we have done is laid evidence on the table before you. Use that evidence to build a narrative around what is possible to still come out of the game.
Yeah.
But then what also blows my mind is that every single game has a completely different set of mechanics and different types of cards and dice and you know, like things that can affect the outcome. And it's like I wonder if people who are good at board games just are able to assign knowledge to each specific board game. Like I know in Sushi Go, there are only like 8 total like nigiri cards.
Oh, sure. Right.
Or whatever, you know? And so it's like, okay, so like that means that this, that, whatever. And then you switch games all of a sudden and it's like, okay, now we're playing apples to apples or whatever. And it's like, okay, like I know this, and this, you know, like, I don't know. Are people able to like sort the information in their brain? Do you know like card counts for multiple different games?
For like Sushi Go would be difficult because you don't play with every single card when you play a round.
That's a good point.
So
I may have given bad examples because I don't play a lot of board games.
That's totally okay. Sometimes it's like important to do it. Like if you're playing like Pokemon or something, like the more familiar you are with like the meta or whatever, you might know that like, oh yeah, that Lugia deck is always going to run 4 of this card. So if they've played, you know, if they played 3 of them, they probably still have 1 more somewhere in the deck. But then that's where it can get tricky, where it's like this one usually only runs like 2 of that card, but who knows? Maybe this person's being spicy. They've decided they're going to up it, you know?
Right.
And you just have to like use that sort of like base knowledge to help inform your decisions. But then it just depends on the game too. Like if, you know, whether you think it's going to matter. But a lot of times I think like it can come down to, you know, like I try and figure out how you can like math a game a little bit.
Okay.
Because sometimes just doing that can make a lot more sense or give you just like a base strategy. Like Sushi Go, there's like one, like there's all these little combos you can do and things you can try and get, but like at the end of the day, there's also just these cards that are like base values. Like if you have this is 3 points by itself, no problem. And it's like if you look at all the combos you do, like if you get these 2 cards together, that's 5 points, but that means each of those 2 cards is worth 2.5 points.
Right.
You know, which is like, okay, that's good. But if you have just this one base card that's worth 3, that's 3 points for 1 card. So that's a way better average.
Right.
You know, so it's like it might seem boring to take just these blocks that don't do combos or anything, but actually they add up really good.
Okay.
You know, things like that.
Yeah. I follow. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. So it's then the other big question is like everybody is playing to win, right? Like everybody wants to win.
Everyone wants to win. I'm not sure if they're playing to win.
But yeah, right. I see what you're saying there. Yeah. Like they think they can win, but
but I know what you mean. I feel like I used to play games with people and like I would just win most of the time. And they'd be like, "Why do you always win? Like how are you I don't understand, like how are you, like what are you doing? How are you always winning? Like you're being too competitive." I'm like, "I don't understand what you mean by being too competitive."
Like I'm
like you have all the same information I had, you know.
Right.
It's not my fault you didn't remember it all and apply it to a strategy, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean, but that is part of it. Like it reminds me in the movie Miracle, where it's like the story of like the U.S. hockey team that like takes down Russia. Like one of the things that like the coach describes as they're like preparing to play Russia is that when they get on the ice, they know they will win. Like. And that was true for like, something like 67 games in a row up until the miracle on ice happened.
Right.
And it's like, I always think that that's like a really fascinating kind of like confidence that you can carry with you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I think you've got that confidence when it comes to these kinds of games where it's like, you play knowing you're going to win. Like it's not arrogance, it's confidence. And those two things, I think like I am always so fearful of ever finding myself like becoming like cocky about something. Like that's always like a characteristic that I never want attributed to myself.
Right.
So sometimes like I even think like it's like as your confidence starts to rise in some particular area, it's almost like my brain has this like mental governor that's like no, you stay down.
Right. I mean, I know what you mean. Like even if I'm just starting a game with a bunch of people, like in my brain, like I just have a better chance of winning.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if that's like necessarily fair, but it's just sort of like what like life has reinforced to me.
Yes.
A lot
like
of the time.
You've played enough games.
I've played enough
outcomes.
games, with enough outcomes where it's like this has happened a lot. So I feel like I can piece together something quickly. But I mean, if you're playing against people who have like played many, many, many rounds of something, like they're of course just going to have huge advantages.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That's the time anyway.
So do you think it's interesting though that like when posed with the question, like tell me about your favorite win, you're like, well, it's the losses that stick with me.
Yeah.
It's like even that's kind of interesting because like everybody wants to win, but it's the negative outcomes that are the ones that might like that like leave a place in your memory, and maybe on some level that's like a strategic mind basically being like, I learned something from that situation, which is why I remember that situation.
Yeah, I mean that's probably it. I mean, I can tell you about some of my fun wins too. Like I remember we were playing a box tournament one time at our local store, Blade. And there was like a new set coming out, and if you won the tournament, you won like a booster box, and it was like exciting to win to like an actual prize. Because normally what you win at this place is just like $10 store credit. It's like woo, yay!
You're right, yeah,
cool. It's like not very good, but it's just it's more about like the fun of playing. But in this one in particular, I felt like everyone came to play. It was big time, and I had to go through Big Steve, our friend.
Yeah,
and we were basically playing like two sides of the same deck. Like his big monster was this and my big monster was this. And it was just like, okay, I know how to play around yours. You know how to play around mine. This is going to get very tricky.
Yes.
And like I managed to snake out a win, and that was really good. And then in the finals, I was playing against a girl, and I was playing against a girl, and it was like, you're right, I had the confidence because I had played many games against her in the past, and I had never lost. And I was like, okay, this is good. I can beat you. And then I lost the first game, and I was like, oh no, this is not going to be the day. And I managed to come back in the next couple of rounds and just outplay them. And
wow.
Yeah.
The comeback.
I got the comeback on that one. So that was a very good win. I remember feeling very proud of that one. At the same Orlando regionals, I won the GLC tournament down there, which was like, I got there and I didn't even like our friend again, Steven, had like texted me that morning. He's like, "You doing GLC today?" And I was like, I didn't even know that was happening. And I remember like racing to the venue and getting there and signing up and being like, okay, wow, I didn't even know I was going to be doing this. And then like 4 rounds later, I was 4-0, and I was like, oh my God. I just showed up to a regionals and like won an event. That was really cool.
Am I about to take this thing home?
I'm about to take this thing home. Yeah, so that was very exciting as well. If only I had won the next day, but it's okay.
I know.
But that like set me up in a really good mood for the rest of the thing. Because like no matter what happens from here, I already won one of the side events.
Right.
And that was exciting because that was, people from all over the country. And I still managed to get a win.
Yes. Well, I mean, so anyway, but those are great examples. But those are instances where it's like there was like a victory beyond just simple bragging rights.
Yeah.
So like going back to the example of like playing like a card game every single available moment over the weekend, it's like, probably by the end of the weekend between these two girls who were playing with each other, it's like you probably had one person win 50% of the time, the other person win 50% of the time. And it's kind of like,
right.
It's a way to pass the time more interestingly than sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
But like, is each victory just like, if you're going to like immediately fire up another game that you're 50% likely to win or lose, like, is it at any point in time just similar to like just flipping a coin over and over again?
I don't think many games like that exist.
No.
Except for coin flips.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even like war, for example, like that should be 50-50. It should just be whatever order the cards came in. Eventually, that order, you're basically just playing that order out. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are doing something that a simulation can do just as easily.
Right. Yeah. You're just flipping the cards over, putting them underneath, and eventually the game has been determined by the very dealing of the cards. There shouldn't be any skill involved in war, but the game is also called war, which means anything goes, as far as I'm concerned.
All's fair in love and
All's fair in love and war.
they mean the card game.
They mean the card game. Yeah.
Not real life war.
Not real life war. Yeah. They're art things that are the card game.
The
war.
Geneva Convention.
You can sneak your way into wins on the war. I can tell you what I do.
I think you've told me before there's like a special version of like putting a card on the bottom and then you pull from the bottom because it's like the ace or something.
Right. If you can memorize what order their cards are going to come out in, and you can be like, okay, after their jack will be their king, and you're just sort of holding an ace on the bottom of your deck, you can pull from the bottom instead, and suddenly you've got it. And they're not going to remember what order things are coming out in.
Hold on.
And you're going to be like, that's cheating. And I'm going to be like, it's war.
It's war. If we want to play a fair game, we can fire up some goldfish.
Yeah, you know what's fun about war? Nothing. You're just dealing cards over and over.
True.
Go fish, more strategy in that than I'm sure you think.
Yeah.
That's mostly memorizing what people have.
Okay, that makes sense because if they're asking for a card, it means they have a card.
Yeah.
So you can start
Stuff like
you
that.
can be like, you got any threes?
Yeah,
it's like you got any threes?
Yeah, you got to remember that person said they needed threes 3 rounds ago.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
Don't let them know you got one. Or then be careful what information you reveal. Stuff like that. Anyway, Ben, I said we would circle back to junk journaling.
Hey, okay,
Here we are.
Due course. Yeah.
Just 32 minutes later.
Yeah. A transition
without one.
Yeah.
Okay. So junk journaling, which you so honestly zoned out on.
I'm sorry. Explain junk journaling.
Junk journaling,
and not drunk journaling.
Not drunk journaling. Junk.
Dear diary.
Drunk journaling sounds like a whole different hobby.
I fell.
That does sound like a fun, like every time you've had a few drinks, you just write in this journal and then you just wake up and see what you wrote. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. It's like, what if all of a sudden you can like solve like string theory, but like you can only do it.
Wow, this is really good math, I think.
I don't even know if I understand it.
Yeah. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. You need to show it to someone else.
Yeah.
But junk journaling is basically like millennials' version of scrapbooking.
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah. Scrapbooking is like one of those things that I oftentimes think is more common than I think it is. Like more people do it.
Yeah.
But it's always like, it always seems the same thing is true for like knitting. Like oftentimes I was like, who knits? And then I'm like, half of my friends knit.
Half your friends knit. They've just picked it up at some point.
I mean, it's a great way. I mean, probably the pandemic, but a great way to just like keep your hands busy.
Absolutely.
Better than playing war.
Yeah. Better than playing war.
Yeah.
Better than losing at war.
Exactly. This
is the thing. This is my real strategy: is never tell anyone how I'm winning.
I know. Well, I don't actually know. I just
you don't know what you haven't been told, Ben.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm only giving you enough to make it feel like you can be confident about the situation, but not to worry. I'm in control at all times.
I promise I'm not pulling sneaky war tricks in most games.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Junk journaling.
We will talk about it. It like Beth has started doing it, and basically you just buy like an empty notebook, and then whenever you're like out for the weekend or on a trip or out having some experience, you just sort of collect the things you would otherwise throw away. Like it might be, a sticker from the kiosk, or your receipt from that gas station you went to, or the Tootsie Roll wrapper, or what. Believe me, you're coming across junk all the time.
Sure.
And So you just take that stuff, and instead of throwing it out, you just basically glue it into the junk journal. And then a lot of people have like a little like, mini photo printer that they can put actual photos in there as well to sort of make it more personal. Or you could like write little notes about the little things that were on there. Be like, oh yeah, this is the Tootsie Roll wrapper from when we got, lost and we stopped at this gas station and whatever. Something like that. But then, people will like incorporate scrapbooking elements into it and just sort of, but it's like, the point is like, it's a little bit junky. It's like, don't be too serious. Don't spend too much time on it. So like, instead of, maybe cutting out this nice looking ornamental paper, you just sort of like rip it out of the book and paste it in.
Okay.
And, you can still make it look really nice, but it ends up having a bunch of different like funny textures to it, and it looks like it's a weird patchwork of memories that don't look so curated, but they still all have meaning to you now because you've done it this way.
And I totally get this too, because like I know like when me and Allie first started dating back in the day, we took a trip to like the Smoky Mountains in like Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I feel like while we were there, we would have had like a miniature golf putt-putt card.
Right. That'd be a great junk journal item.
There was just like a myriad of like, we went to the aquarium. Here's like, the tickets from the aquarium.
Yes,
here's
also great.
All these like weird little like stubs and whatnots.
It's like stuff that you're like, this was really cool, but like, where am I going to put it?
And like whenever like an event has like a photo booth, like where you get to go and sit and you take like, 3 or 6 pictures or whatever, those are always so fun while they're there. But oftentimes you do end up having that issue of like, it's like, well, now that we did it, like, so me and Allie actually have a drawer like in our living room that was just unceremoniously empty until we had this big pile of things that had been collecting forever that were these items.
Right.
But it's really funny because you go through and you pull them out and like each of the things always does spark a good memory.
Right.
And so I can totally see where this would work, especially if they were like all fastened to the same page and it says like, Smoky Mountains trip 2017, March, whatever. It's like, oh yeah. And I forgot we did the putt-putt. Like,
right.
And there was the photo booth at that cool restaurant we went to. And I could see where that ends up being like a rather joyous thing.
Yeah, so it's been really fun watching. Beth's only been doing it for like, maybe 2 weeks or something.
Okay.
At this point. But, each of her pages does look really good and it's very fun. It's like, oh yeah, but so the first day she was doing it, Luke came in and he was just like, what are you doing, mommy? And she explained, I'm doing junk journaling. And I would say that like in how I have had to explain it to you, Luke absorbed all of that in his brain with no explanation in about a quarter of a second.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, it was so fascinating. Like he saw what she was doing and it was like you've never seen like a hobby align with someone's soul like in real time faster. He was just like, I understand the assignment, He like whisked away up to his room and was back like 3 minutes later with a whole box of junk. And he was just like, I'm ready to go. Mommy, do I have a notebook? And she was like, yeah, we have a notebook right here. And he's like, foop, 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 throwing stuff in it.
Be right back. Let me get my glue stick.
Be right back. Yeah, exactly. Not glue stick, but we have like these roller glue tapes,
Roller glue tapes?
I mean, you should see Luke use this thing, man. It looks like a like gunslinger out of a Wild West movie.
Yeah,
he's just like, and he's you think like, okay, we're not just like Beth's trying to explain it to him. It's like, okay, we're not just like gluing trash to a notebook. There should be like some meaning to it or whatever. And like, I think she was telling him that because like on one page he just like he has like an 8.5 by 11, just like wide rule notebook or whatever.
Sure.
And he had covered one entire page in just like a basically 8.5 by 11 sheet of white cardboard with nothing else on it.
Okay.
And it was just like, okay, and, that's like, we want to, it might be better if you have like stuff like memories, like, what does this cardboard mean to you? And he's just like, well, it's just from the ice cream truck that Nana bought me. And then we had to throw it away because it broke down. But it reminds me of when we were coloring it and hanging out with Nana. And it was like, oh, never mind. Oh, you do get it.
You do. It's like, oh, it's like you have a backstory to this piece of cardboard.
This piece of cardboard. It was like, that is what it's from. Okay. No, carry on. But I was mistaken.
I messed up.
So it has been so interesting to see this, like, because Luke, I mean, he is a bit of a hoarder. Like he's got the hoarder gene for sure.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
you just sort of find stuff in your room. You're like, oh, that's where this is.
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
Yeah, I kept held on to this. You know, I see. All right, and you know, it's like kids will often tell you that like any given object is like special to them or whatever, and you're like, yeah, you didn't care about that pencil until Nick wanted it. So I don't even remember where this pencil came from, and it says Sprite.com on it. So
you have the Sprite.com pencil?
I was just making something up, but yeah. If you have a Sprite.com pencil,
I want the Sprite.
I want it.
I really want it. Yeah. Is it like holographic green?
Probably.
Well, I need it. Is it round or hexagonal?
Round.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
A pink eraser?
Yeah, pink eraser.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Sounds
want
great.
this pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here we go. So, but like, you know, you hear that all the time and you're like, eye roll. Okay. But it's like, it was very like insightful into just like, no, he does like hoard little things away, but like he also does have like assigned memories to these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And he's just like pasting them in there, and it's been like a very interesting, like his junk journal goes on and on and on. He's like way more than Beth's because he's just got like, you know, he's just excited to be putting stuff in there.
Right.
It's like he was waiting his whole life for this activity, which he didn't know existed.
And now he's
and now it's just like, oh, this is it. And so that has been a really curious thing to watch.
It feels like the type of thing that could make for like if like Luke enters like the dating scene, you know, at some point in high school, one of just the most adorable like activities.
Oh, you could have with someone?
Yes. Could you? Because I mean, if you had like one of these for like an early relationship and you like gifted it to them, like
here's the junk journal I've been keeping of our relationship.
Yes.
Oh, it's such a good idea.
You turn to the last page and there's a ring taped to it.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
This does seem like junk is Luke's love language. You know?
Yes. Yeah. They had to like add something. It's like there used to be 5 love languages. Now there's a 6th, and the 6th one is junk.
Do you know what I feel like my like non-listed love language is?
Lay it on me.
Coffee.
Dude, you know what?
Yeah.
I would confirm this because love languages are things that you not only receive but give as well. And one of the things that was so spectacular about rooming with you on tour was I would like wake up in the morning and you would have already gone out to the lobby and filled up 2 coffees, and you would put one like right next to my head and be like, got coffee for you. And I was like, wow. Thanks. Like I mean, it was like one of those things where I was like, I genuinely don't know how to thank you like enough for this. Like I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I think I think it's the thing. It was like anytime like Beth brings me a coffee, like if she goes out on a run in the morning and she just comes back and she's got like 2 coffees, I'm just like, I love you so much. You know,
this is the best thing.
This is the best thing. It's like, I've already had 3 cups of coffee. Yes. Do I want more? Yes. You know, this is what speaks to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I hear you. Because like all summer, I feel like I've been having a similar phenomenon, Bingo, where it's like Alice and I have a screened-in porch on our house, which, you know, we can only really use from like maybe mid-April to mid-October before like the temperature just becomes like a scooch to like, you know, frigid just to go plop down outside and have like our morning coffee or whatever. But like in the mornings all summer, I have just you know, it's like I am dedicating like a half hour to sitting on this screened-in porch drinking our coffee together almost no matter what, to where it's like no, this is like an immovable appointment that I have in the morning. Like I can't, it's like I'm not gonna go start getting ready until it's been this time has passed.
Yeah.
So it's like no. I'm my bad. I needed to be where I was, and I'm not willing to let it go.
Oh man, I hear you. Throughout the summer, I was trying to do that as well, because like I would wake up in the morning, you know, like go turn the sprinkler on, and I was like, while the sprinkler's going, I'll sit here outside in our patio. I'll drink my coffee. I'll do like my New York Times puzzles on my phone.
Yeah.
All glorious. And if I could ever get through those 15 minutes without someone waking up at 6 a.m. to come be like, I want to come sit on your lap and squirm around and make this impossible for you, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rarely happened. But,
well, I mean, you know, what are you gonna do? that makes it all the more special when it does.
It does. Yes, it's fine. You know, it's like these are the things you won't get back, even though they're annoying in the moment.
Yes.
But yeah, it's fine. It's all good. Actually, on this exact note, we went to a little custard stand over this past weekend because Beth's brother was in town. He's just had a daughter like 5 months ago, and we were finally getting to meet her. So that was really exciting.
Important question. What is custard?
Custard, boy, I don't know the difference between custard and ice cream.
Does it look more like soft serve ice cream?
It
or
looks more like soft serve.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have, like, in my mind, custard is like creamier.
I mean, it seems creamier. Custard itself is kind of like one of those words. It's like maybe like a little too close to curdle. To where like I tend to think of custard as kind of having like a cottage cheese. Sort of like the, form.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was just like a regular ice cream stand at the end of the day.
I wonder,
like if they called it just an ice cream stand instead of a custard stand, I wouldn't have known.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, this is similarly like I feel like gelato versus like other Italian ice, maybe?
Yes.
I don't know.
Dude, okay. Let me tell you something about gelato.
You better throw the hammer down.
Every time someone mentions this great gelato place they found, they will act like it is like life-changing and they can't go back and it's the best thing in the entire world. And I will go there. I'm excited for this experience. And I always get the gelato and I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
Mid.
Like never have I had gelato where it was like mind-bending, mind-blowing, and I can already hear people on their keyboards being like, no, dude, no, you just haven't had good gelato yet. And I'm like, people have told me that I'm having the good gelato.
You've never had life-changing gelato.
And I'm like, I think people are overhyping gelato it's like it is a fun thing to be excited about, and it's a cool thing to have experienced, but I don't think it's better than ice cream. Yeah. And I think people are lying to them. This is what I feel like. I feel like people are being disingenuous with themselves in the name of enjoying, like the idea of enjoying gelato is so tantalizing that they must do it.
I would be inclined to agree with you. However, and I'm not about to stand gelato or anything like that. Not that I have no beef with gelato, but the thing that
I would never have beef with gelato. That sounds like a weird meal.
Yeah. This is beef flavored gelato with ground beef sprinkled on top.
No.
Yeah, it sounds terrible. No. So currently, and not to rub otherwise salt in your wounds as well. But in our garden, we have small cherry tomatoes, which Addie affectionately refers to as grapes, and also eats as if they were grapes, and also eats grapes as grapes. And so, like the other day, like we like keep going back and forth with her between these two particular fruits because when we were at the lake, we had a huge thing of grapes. So she ate just a metric butt ton of grapes.
Yeah.
I mean, I kid you not, I bet she ate 78.
Wow.
I know.
Like, a lot of grapes.
It was a lot of grapes.
It's like a whole bag.
I know. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But so then we came home and we realized we didn't have any groceries left. And I had noticed the night before that Addie had been eating the grape tomatoes from our garden as grapes. And it was like one of these things where she's like, we're like, Addie, what are you eating? And she's like, grapes. And I'm like, no, those are, they're grape tomatoes, but they're tomatoes. Like they have a completely different flavor profile.
Yeah.
And so we're packing Addie's lunch for school. And I was like, oh crap, we don't have any more like fruits. And I was like, send her with some of the tomatoes.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we pick her up from school yesterday and she's eaten all of her grape tomatoes.
Gone.
And I'm like, these two are, they're shaped the same, fundamentally different flavor profiles. Yes. And I'm like, what is the difference? And she eats them as if they are like,
the same thing. You can just mix them together.
You can just mix them together. Yeah. It reminds me of the scene from The Office where it's like,
tell me the difference between these two pictures.
No, it's like Creed is eating an apple.
Yeah.
This is a potato. And he sits down and they swap the two and then he just takes a huge bite of potato and just keeps chewing it. And it's just it's like, what? And granted that's a show, but anyway. So the point is that in my mind, Addie could be like, she's like, I don't understand. There's not really a huge difference between tomatoes and grapes. And it's like, yes, there is.
Big difference.
Yeah. So anyway, that's me. So maybe people are having life-changing gelato.
Maybe they are.
I'm just trying to put out the old devil's advocate.
It's possible because it's like, I'm sure people feel this way about olives too. Like if you like olives, you tend to love olives.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're like, oh my God, there's olives here. Gimme.
Who's neither here nor there about olives?
Exactly. You are either here or there about olives.
Yeah,
yes.
Precisely.
It is a polarizing food, big time. And I know, but I feel like I think you and Beth both fall into the camp of you desperately want to enjoy olives.
True. Yes. And I feel like that's why I like that's where I would be coming from.
Yeah.
Is like Allie has a book for feeding kids food, and it says you have to turn down food, I think, like 14 times before you can actually say you don't like it, because some foods are acquired tastes. I've eaten so many olives to no prevail in my life. Like,
it's so frustrating.
I just don't like them.
Don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, so I get it. But like the thing about gelato is that like, I don't think it's quite the same, because it's not like you either like gelato or you don't. Like, I think it's either you freaking love it or it's just like, just different kind of ice cream.
Just different kind of ice cream.
It's like, I would never like, if anyone was like, you want to go get gelato, I wouldn't be like, yeah, gross. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a fun treat.
Definitely. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I feel like in my mind, gelato is scooped with like a smaller scooper. And there's something like enjoyable about the fact that you can get like 3 scoops of gelato to like 1 scoop of ice cream. And there is something that seems kind of like nice about the quantity of these like small, like golf ball size scoops versus like 1 like softball size scoop.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose so. I can see that.
And then there's that one scene from Zootopia where the elephant scoops like the gigantic like.
Yeah,
that's a really
nice. You have a glove for that.
you gotta glove those trunks.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Something. Yeah, we've been watching some Zootopia on the side.
Nice.
Anyway, but yeah, but if somebody was like, "Do you guys want to get like gelato or ice cream?" Would you be like ice cream?
I would say ice cream. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because here's my thing: is that like we have we talk about it all the time here in Roanoke. There's Blue Cow ice cream, which makes like in-house ice cream, and it is like amazing. So it's like that's like one of the things like where people are like, "Hey, I'm coming to Roanoke. Is there anything I should do?" It's like get ice cream at Blue Cow. But then in the meantime, we have another ice cream shop that I won't mention by name because they just serve like Hershey's ice cream.
I know where you mean.
Yeah, but it's like you could go to the grocery store and like for the same price as like 1 scoop buy like a whole pint.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
And I'm like I don't understand.
I don't understand.
So it's like those are the ice cream places where it's like it's not that I don't like Hershey's brand ice cream. Like I'm not above that. Not one bit.
No, yeah. It's not like if you go there you get bad ice cream.
Right. I don't understand it. That's like a business model. I'm like, I had to drive by the grocery store to get here.
Right. To buy more expensive. Same thing.
Yeah. So and that place has been in business like as long as I've been alive.
People would. This was like the post-band concert locale.
Everyone went.
It'd be like, hey, band concert's over. You guys gonna head on over and get some ice cream? And it'd be like, obviously.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah. We just had a band concert. What else would we do?
Right. Yeah. It feels like a carryover from like the, or unless every single person's parent is bribing them with the same thing where it's like, I know you don't want to go tonight, but if you do and you do well, we'll go get ice cream afterwards.
That could be the case, but the people who were there were pretty into band.
True.
True.
Yeah. So they were just kind of like...
I was just in it for the ice cream.
They were jazzed.
I would say they were jazzed.
It's a music joke.
It was a music joke.
Good one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Transition? Wow. Same brain. Benjamin.
Hey, Jonathan.
Last week we were talking about whether or not knowing who April O'Neil was common knowledge.
Yeah. I think we had 3 people on our list. We had April O'Neil, Zordon, and Brian O'Connor.
Yes.
Which now we can spoil it for you. I'm pretty sure we did last week anyway too. But April O'Neil is the friend of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Frequently in a yellow jumpsuit and frequently is some version of like a TV reporter / journalist.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All fair assessments?
Those are her normal traits.
Yes. Okay. So I went home and asked Alice if she knew who April O'Neil was, and she had literally no idea. I think she said someone from Parks and Rec.
No.
Different April.
Different April.
Different April.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no dice on that front. How did the patrons or people who went to the Patreon page fare?
Okay, so we had options for. We didn't have an option for I don't know who any of them are.
Right.
Which maybe we should have.
Yeah.
But
we missed that.
We had options for who do you know from this list. So you could either select just April, just Zordon, just Brian, or April and Zordon, April and Brian, or Brian and Zordon. Or so like which combination of these, or I know them all.
Right. Yeah. Hilariously, only 1% of the responding voters knew Brian O'Connor and Zordon, which means the Fast and the Furious franchise and the franchise.
Yes.
And the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers franchise are not big overlapping Venn diagrams.
Well, not overlapping. It seemed like if you knew who both of them were, you were way more likely to also know who April was.
Oh, good point.
Because if you looked at I know all three of them, that was 22%.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. But so honestly, when you look at these stats, I actually think it fares better for your argument than we originally believed, because 28% of people said they knew April O'Neil, and then 14% said they knew April O'Neil and Zordon, 10% said they knew April O'Neil and Brian O'Connor, and then 22% said they knew all three of them.
Okay, what's really interesting to me is that the most number of people knew just April O'Neil, right?
Yes, yep.
But then second was Brian and then Zordon. But more people knew April and Zordon together than they knew April and Brian.
Right.
Which I suppose makes some sense. There have been like Power Ranger and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossovers in the past.
Okay.
I can see where those two superhero teams like align more with the same person.
But I don't know. I mean, why? I mean, would you not regard the Fast and the Furious franchise as a group of superheroes? Because it's turning into that.
It's turning into that. I wouldn't say historically, especially not when Brian was in the franchise.
At some point, I just fully expect Dominic Toretto to become one of the Avengers.
Yeah. I mean, Toretto even just sort of sound like that. Just sounds like he just might be a Ninja Turtle, you know.
He could be.
You know, you got Donatello, you got Toretto, you got what? You know.
Right? Yeah. Donatello and his cousin Toretto.
Exactly. No problem. So that makes sense. I mean, they're not exactly like, you know, the Fast and the Furious aren't like color coded superheroes or anything.
Sure.
Yeah. There's not like always a red one and always a blue one, and
there was always one who drove a Nissan Skyline.
Well, there was that.
Yeah. That was Brian O'Connor.
I do suppose like a lot of times for those movies they will have each driver have like a specific colored car so that when the chases are happening, it's very easy for the viewer to know who's who.
I would even say that they're like the Vin Diesel character who is Dominic Toretto is always driving like hardcore American muscle type vehicles, whereas like Brian was almost always like in like a cool, very like nimble import of some kind.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, there were like categories, but to be fair, it wasn't quite like, you know, Leonardo is blue.
Leonardo is blue.
Yeah.
Blue. Swords.
Yeah.
Leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But so this has been like, I found like this is a great new icebreaker, I feel like, because Beth has now also been like, she's like taken it like to her running group and stuff. And she's like, you know, she's curious, you know, like how ignorant was she about April O'Neil?
Yeah.
You know, so she'll be like asking people on her run, and she's getting pretty, I would say overwhelmingly, like, not overwhelmingly, I would say it's more like 40% of people know who April O'Neil is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is not the like 95% I would have assumed.
This is really interesting because I remember when I went to, when I was doing my study abroad in Australia, we were doing a tour of the Sydney Opera House, and they said, like, one of the fun facts about it is that 1 in every 3 people on planet Earth know about the Sydney Opera House.
Wow.
Which I was like, that's an amazingly high.
That's 33%.
Yeah. So like how many people do we have on this planet? Like 8 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of people when you do that math. 3/8.
That's huge.
No, that's not correct.
And here I am assuming that even more people know
more
about
people,
the Ninja Turtles.
The Ninja Turtles.
I mean, like in America, not like worldwide.
Sure. Yeah. But that would be a really like interesting like stat point to discover, is that like how many people know the Ninja Turtles' best friend.
Yeah, because it's like there's like a weird circle here where it's like, because like if you ask people like, have you heard of the Ninja Turtles, that number is going to be massive.
Yes.
Like everyone's heard of the Ninja Turtles. You're not going to be like, oh, you know, like if you mention Ninja Turtles to someone and they don't know about that at all, that would be surprising to me.
Yes, that would be so interesting.
That would be wild. If you're like, wait, what are Ninja Turtles? I'd be like, excuse me?
No.
Yeah.
But that can't be right.
Yeah. So what's weird to me is that like most people know about the Ninja Turtles, but then a huge section of those people are aware of the Ninja Turtles, but not of April O'Neil.
So I wonder if you were to take this question and apply it to like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, like if you were to pitch a franchise at somebody and you'd be like, do you know Harry Potter? It's like, that would be like asking, do you know the Ninja Turtles? And then it'd be like,
probably more people know Harry Potter than the Ninja Turtles, I would say.
probably so. But it's like, so like then the question would be like, beyond the Ninja Turtle question, like, can you name all four? And it's like, I'd be willing to bet, because of the naming convention being like artists, that a lot of people could.
Most
name
people,
all
I bet,
four.
could name the four turtles. They might not be able to get the colors and the weapons and the personalities, but I bet they could name them.
So then who would you say would become the Harry Potter franchise's April O'Neil?
Okay. So you would have, if I think of Harry Potter, I would think the main characters you definitely know are Harry, Ron, Hermione, Dumbledore, and Voldemort.
Yes.
Those seem like the big five. And then maybe Snape is like a close sixth.
Snape. Yep. Okay. Yep. I'm down with that order.
I would
I would suspect that the average fan is more likely to know Voldemort than Dumbledore.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Harry and Voldemort.
Yeah.
They might be at the top. They might even more than Ron and Hermione.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is the battle.
That's the battle.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So then, like, would you say like Neville?
Neville might be the April O'Neil
Okay.
of the Harry Potter verse, is who I was thinking. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like Luna.
Luna would be a good one.
Yeah. I bet more people certainly know about Neville than Luna.
Oh, I don't know, because Luna is like very iconic with like the Spectre specs or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's very included in the imagery.
Yeah.
Like Luna's like likeness and everything.
No, Neville's a better example because Neville's always there. Like Luna doesn't show up to book 5.
Right, but then when she shows up, she's just like,
she's just there.
She's just cool.
So I think Neville. Yes. Do you know who Neville Longbottom is? That falls in the same category as April O'Neil.
April O'Neil.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an interesting question. What do you think it is for like the MCU?
Okay, that's a good question. So without fail, I would say you would easily know Cap, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Thor.
Right.
Yep, those all seem easy. I mean, maybe Clint.
Like Hawkeye.
Yeah. That would seem
like I bet you know who was the actor?
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner, yes.
Yeah,
Like, don't say Jeremy Irons. That's not it. Jeremy Renner. I bet more people know Jeremy Renner is in the Avengers than they know that his character's name is Hawkeye.
Oh, I could see that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. Like I bet more people know that Scarlett Johansson is in the Avengers than they know Black Widow.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And that's like one of those really interesting ones where like out of the like original core 6 Avengers, you did sort of have like 4 that had like major movies and multiples of them.
Yeah.
There are multiple Iron Mans, multiple Captain Americas, multiple Thors. I guess just the one Hulk movie.
I
didn't even feature Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But then for a long time,
people know Hulk.
People know Hulk. Yeah, for sure. But like by comparison, for a very, very long time, there wasn't a Black Widow movie and there wasn't a Hawkeye show.
They're still not a movie. Yeah.
They're still not a movie. Yeah. So I could see those being the most likely, like, especially.
Right. Like, do you think more people know who Thanos is than like Black Widow?
I doubt it.
Doubt it?
I think I doubt it. Because Thanos is super iconic if you know, but if you know, you definitely know.
Right. Do you think more people know Thanos or Loki?
Loki. I think
okay.
Loki.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think more. It's hard to know because Endgame was such a big deal. Like Infinity War and Endgame is such a big deal.
I know. No, you're right. I mean that is true. That is true. But like Loki is like huge, like beyond. As like an entity beyond just the MCU, like as like a figure in like Norse mythology.
Yeah. I suppose that's true.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's a good question.
Yeah, but like, how many other Marvel villains do you think people even just know at all? Like, I bet it's not that high.
It's not that high. Yeah. I mean, because like even then, it's like there's sort of the fact that like the Fantastic Four is like one of like the biggest Marvel comic book groups that there is, but like I don't know that more people would necessarily know like Victor Von Doom.
I think I bet people People know Doctor Doom though.
People know Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
But like I don't know like outside.
They're gonna.
They're
They're gonna.
It's gonna be unavoidable. This will be funny when we do Popcorn Reculture.
Oh, I know.
You know, like eventually we'll be like, oh my gosh, at this point in time, we didn't think it was incredibly obvious that everybody would know who Doctor Doom is.
Yeah. Well, now it's Robert Downey Jr. So it's, like, it's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be a big one.
It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah. That'll be. My theory is that there are people who aren't super stoked about the casting. I know that that's been like a thing.
Yeah.
Like there's the people who are stoked and people who aren't stoked. My suspicion is that it's going to be the kind of thing that once it comes out, you're going to like it, even if you don't like the idea of it at first.
Absolutely.
That is what I think history will show. I could be wrong, but that's, you know, if you wanted me to like call my shot, that would be me calling.
I think you're right. I would say that there are some people who've already made themselves so loud about it that they will refuse to eat their own words despite the tidal wave of obviousness.
They'll Gelato principle it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, no, RDJ, Doctor Doom, bad. I'll die on this hill no matter what. Even if I loved it.
Yeah. I'll never tell anybody.
I'll never tell.
It's just my sick day movie.
Yeah.
That's because it brings you comfort.
Right.
Oh man, we'll see. All right.
Shall see.
So this is very interesting. Yeah. So we need all the feedback then on who people think the MCU April O'Neil is and who the Harry Potter April O'Neil is.
So I want to know, what do people think about these things? Because it has been the April O'Neil. It is such the example. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's how do you, like, either, because this is the thing that Beth has like reported back to me from her findings, is that like it's very much the same thing. It's like either you have no idea or you can't believe people don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean, it really is though. It's so fascinating. Like, because when you live, like this was another one that I thought was really interesting over the weekend was, I feel like two major iconic TV shows that I have been experiencing over the past few years have been Ted Lasso and The Bear, which they feel like this thing that they permeated everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like they weren't just popular amongst like the specific sector or like niche or whatever. Like they almost like found their way into like all the various airwaves.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to Alice's youngest sister over the weekend and I'm like, have you guys watched either of these shows? And they're like, I have not even heard of these shows. What is a Ted Lasso? And I was like,
no.
What?
No.
I was like, please, no, surely.
Come now.
Like, but this is this is the thing about echo chambers is that like when you live in them you have no idea that is what has happened. And,
I know.
And so you're like everyone thinks this and it's like they don't. But you are so inside of it that you are insulated by 5 layers of people who also know about it.
Do you know this is my new, apparently my echo chamber take of so on our other podcast, Through the Gryffindor.
Okay. Yeah.
I went on a good old rant about the
stirrups,
the footrests on the Firebolt in the movie. And I mean, I was waiting for that chapter, Ben, for like months.
Okay.
Months. I was like, I am so excited about this.
Just the very I oughta.
This is going to be such a good one. I'm going to have such a fun platform, such a fun rant that like we rarely are super negative on this channel at all. And I can just like tear something to shreds and it won't matter because it is like a universally hated addition to the Firebolt. And boy, was I wrong about that. People are just like I've seen so many comments on the videos being like, I kind of like the footrest. They're like, the footrest just makes sense. The broom goes 150 miles an hour. Like, it's just about safety. And I'm like, it's a magical object. Like, if you tell me they don't need them, I believe you.
Right.
If you didn't put them on there, no one would be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. This, to me, here's what I think has happened. Because I think that there are instances where if Harry Potter was an animated show, they never would have put them on there.
Right.
Because the characters, you could easily just animate their legs to like work in a way that like, sure, why not? That makes sense.
Exactly.
Like the idea of sitting on like this thin piece of broomstick, you know, like seems like irrelevant, but then when you put a real person on top
Yes.
of one, all of a sudden it's like there's like a weird like uncanny valley problem where it's like you almost need it because it seems goofy not to have it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the, actors, if you're Daniel Radcliffe sitting up there, it probably, like, you're up there probably for hours.
Yeah.
You probably really need them on there to the point where it's just like, it's so much work to edit it out. Let's just make it part of it and then it won't matter.
Right.
And it's like an actor problem that translates into now it's just part of the broom, but it's like they're just never mentioned,
No, I know. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, but I have similar relationship like with Voldemort's eyes, where it's like,
yeah,
if they were red though, like, is there a chance it would have like looked cheesy? Because in order to achieve red eyes, you're going to have to do something to them to make them red.
Yeah,
and it's like, does that end up making it look like odd along the way?
Could it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But again, if it's a digitally animated TV show where all the characters are just like, created whatever, it's like then you wouldn't have any issues.
Yeah, and then they just have red eyes. That's
You
just
just
what
have
the
red eyes.
character
Yeah,
looks like.
because that's part of who
It's
they
animated,
are.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes like those end up being like the issues where it's like the practical application of trying to do something in the live action format is just, it's more complicated than meets the eye.
Yes,
And so you have
that
to
meets
find-
the red eye.
Meets the red eye.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
good
you.
one. There you go. Okay. Well, anyway, we need all the feedback from today's episode because I feel like it's just ripe for kernel input.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
so if you've got any of that, you can send it over to popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Or if you want to check out our Q3 quarterly merch, it took us forever and a half to officially announce it, but we do now have an image of it available over on our Patreon page. So if you want to go and check it out, here's what we're going to be doing. They're going to be a forest green long sleeve crew neck sweater with the words "pop pop" in like a raised like puff paint.
Puff, yeah.
A puffy paint.
Puff, puff, pop, pop.
A puff, puff, pop, pop.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So if you want to check those out, you can still sign up through the end of the month of September over at patreon.com/popcornculture at the quarterly merch tier. I think these are going to be really, really cool. I feel like just in time for fall, cozy vibes.
Yes.
They're going to be super soft, super comfortable. I think it's going to be a really neat one. So be sure to go and check those out in case you haven't already. Wanted to let you guys know what that was going to be. But otherwise, until next time,
Pop, pop.
Today's episode was edited by Isybelle Christley. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.